excited to announce that a new and improved Assistant Manager Certification Checklist is ready to roll out. The checklist is designed to promote a collaborative environment between you and your training manager. A great training experience requires excellent execution. Let's first talk about how this training should be completed and what you should expect to experience. First, your Assistant Manager training is not a self-study course. While there are certain modules you can complete on your own, most of the training items on your checklist require the involvement of your training manager. You should expect your training to be hands-on. Your training manager should take you to the back room and tunnel when conducting your troubleshooting training. They should pull up an app or software you'll be using. They should involve you in all new tasks or procedures. You should find yourself watching them perform many of the new procedures or tasks. You'll often experience the show and tell method of training. Your manager will tell you what you need to know about the task, show you how to do the task, then let you try it. You'll then receive feedback about how you did, then you'll try it again and get more feedback. This repeats until you've mastered the training.
The show and tell method is a best practice to use when training an assistant manager because not only does it give us a chance to tell them how to do something and show them as well, but it also gives them a hands-on experience to try it on their own. And it allows us to coach them on whatever they may have done right or any opportunities they may have.
You should expect some scheduled training each week. You'll certainly take advantage of slow days or extra staffing to conduct training, but the majority should be scheduled. Lastly, you should receive lots of feedback and coaching. You should know exactly where you are meeting expectations and where you can improve. At the same time, your manager will have expectations for how you will help execute your training. They will expect honest and candid feedback. Everyone learns differently and at a different pace. Your feedback helps them make needed adjustments in your training. You'll have some formal opportunities to provide some feedback on training surveys, your 515 report, or your weekly huddles. They also want feedback in the moment as they're training. Let them know when you need help to better understand the training material.
One tool you want to take advantage with the checklist is the training summaries at the end of each section. I like to sit down with the trainee while we're going through it, ask them follow-up questions real quick, say, hey, how do you rate yourself? 1 to 5 scale on this. Be honest, because it's not a reflection of our training. It's more knowledge retainment and dealing with the trainee and how much they're learning.
Your manager expects some flexibility on your part. In their attempt to make your training hands-on and involve you in everything you're learning, they need you to make yourself available at times. This may mean coming in early, staying late, or even coming in for a while on your day off. They expect you to ask for training. If you see a task or procedure being completed that you need to learn or practice, raise your hand. Ask them if you can be involved. Let's take a look at some of the key features and functionality of the checklist. You'll notice that the checklist is divided into sections, with each section focusing on a specific aspect of assistant manager responsibilities. Even though they're arranged in a specific order, you and your manager have the flexibility to move freely around the checklist and train on any items that you feel make the most sense for that day. Keep in mind that the first 2 sections, orientation and safety, must be completed first, then the rest of the checklist opens up. An important feature of this checklist is the training notes. You and your manager will start each training item on the checklist by clicking on the instruction symbol. These are the trainer notes for that topic. Clicking on this symbol will open an information box with details on what to cover during this training and how to facilitate the training. It is expected that your training will be conducted as described in these notes. Quality training takes time. To ensure your training time with your manager does not adversely affect your team's labor optimization efforts, you will be awarded labor credits throughout your training. You'll find these in the first section of your checklist. These are packaged in 60-minute increments. On training days, your manager will assess the amount of time spent on training and submit the appropriate number of credits from the Training Labor Credit Bank. When used properly, you should have enough credits to get you through the entire checklist. Your ultimate goal in each section is certification. The purpose of certification is to ensure that you were properly trained and, more importantly, that you can demonstrate all the necessary skills. Each certification is clearly spelled out and is typically the last item in each section. Certifications can take various forms and can be completed by an OM, GM, AD, or maintenance crew member. Who completes each certification is defined for each certification. Click on the information symbol for detailed instructions on how to conduct the certification.
The best way to accomplish this is to ensure that your training team is taking its time in each section of the certification process while checking for understanding and retention. You don't want that trainee to cram for the test. You want them just to be able to do it.
Once you pass a certification, you are fully qualified to perform that job when the opportunity arises. For example, if you complete the hiring certification section, you may then begin participating in the hiring process, conducting phone interviews, face-to-face interviews, even helping with the hiring decisions and the onboarding process, even if you haven't completed the entire checklist and received your promotion. Exceptions to this would be any jobs that require you to be an assistant or above, for example, certain electrical-based troubleshooting. Remember, the key to passing your certification and to demonstrate your understanding of each section is to shadow other managers and receive truly hands-on training. Don't be afraid to ask questions or to speak up when you need more information. They can't read your mind, so be completely honest and candid when filling out the training assessment surveys. Being a manager at Crew is a huge responsibility. There's a lot more to know here than at most retail and service industry management positions. The key to success is proper training and certification. Completing the Assistant Manager Certification Checklist will ensure that you become the confident, competent manager that you aspire to be.
SOC stands for Station Observation Checklist. These are actually a best practice we picked up from McDonald's nearly 20 years ago. The basic concept is that you watch someone perform a job, evaluate them compared to the established procedure or guidelines, and provide feedback as to how closely they're performing the job to what is expected. Each manager is expected to complete at least one SOC per week. These represent a huge opportunity to help your team members take their performance to the next level. Everyone wants feedback about their performance, but millennials and Generation Z thrive on it. They also want coaches as opposed to bosses. And contrary to what you might think, they actually value expertise and experience that helps them better understand their role and to excel at it. They want to be acknowledged for what they do right, and they want your help to reach their full potential. SOCs are a great tool for giving these younger generations what they need to love their jobs and to be highly engaged. You'll access our full library of SOCs in VisionTrack under the eForms link. These are electronic forms. Once you complete them, you have the team member sign them and hit submit. A copy automatically goes to your AD. You should type in your email address so that you receive a copy as well. You can also print the completed SOC by right-clicking on the screen and hitting print. If you choose to print hard copies, you'll both sign it and place in their file or your location's file for completed SOCs. SOCs are a very flexible tool. In addition to providing feedback, they can also be used to walk someone through how to perform a role, to document best practices, or to verify expectations. Obviously, observing the associate perform their job is an important part of completing an SOC. A common misconception is they have to be watched in secret and they can't know they're being evaluated. Now, at times that might be helpful, but in most cases it really shouldn't matter. Think about a golf coach. The golfer clearly knows their coach is watching and they try their best, but the coach still notices opportunities to get better results. The coach serves as another set of eyes to help them see what they can't see. The same thing holds true for your team members. Even if they know you're watching, their bad habits will eventually surface. You'll still see missed opportunities or best practices they could apply that would get them even better results. Just like the golf coach, you serve as another set of eyes to help them see the opportunities they're not aware of. Another common misconception is that there's only one way to complete an SOC. They're a very flexible tool, and to get the best results, you should find yourself using them in a number of ways. The first option is what we call the standard delivery. In this option, you observe the team member for at least 10 customers, you consider all the expectations on the SOC, you rate them on each, then you review all items on the completed SOC with the team member. Option 2 is the highlight approach. In this approach, you complete the entire SOC, but you only share the 2 things you felt they did best today and the 2 biggest opportunities you observed. Option 3 is the self-SOC. In this approach, you still complete your SOC, but before discussing it, you have the associate think about their time in that role and complete an SOC on themselves. They lead the conversation, sharing how they think they did. You simply agree with what they bring up or share strengths or opportunities that you saw. This is very much like how we facilitate a performance appraisal conversation. Option 4 is a more advanced approach. We call it the coaching conversation. It's very effective, but please note it would not count as one of your completed SOCs for the week. In this case, you ask the associate to complete an SOC on themselves, even if you didn't observe them. You instruct them to be very accurate and critical about their performance. In the conversation, you have them share their 2 biggest strengths and 2 biggest opportunities. You then follow our coaching model to coach them. The goal is to ask questions that help them improve where they feel they need to improve.
I think it's great that you'd like to get better at that. So what will you do to make sure that happens more consistently? Okay, so what would that sound like? Now, who could you shadow that's really good at that? Now, what do you need from me?
Here again, we want you to get creative when completing SOCs. For instance, team leaders can complete SOCs and use any of these approaches they've been trained on. Some locations have associates complete SOCs on each other. You can have associates complete SOCs on you and the other managers. Not only does this show them that you're constantly trying to improve and reach your full potential, they actually learn from watching and critiquing you. Some locations play SOC tag. Basically, someone starts with an SOC. Once you receive an SOC, you're it, and you must now complete an SOC on someone else. You repeat the process until everyone has both received and conducted an SOC. SOCs can be a catalyst for creating a culture of coaching and feedback at your location, which helps your team reach its full potential. By trying some of these variations on the traditional SOC, you'll freshen up the process for yourself and your team.